The village of Blackridge lay hidden between two silent mountains, a place where nights felt heavier than anywhere else in the world. People said the darkness there had a life of its own, thick, breathing, and older than mankind. For decades, villagers avoided stepping outside after sunset, locking their doors and covering their windows with thick cloth. But the reason behind this tradition was never openly spoken of. It was passed as frightened whispers from dying elders to trembling children. Ethan Ward, a 29-year-old investigative journalist from the city, did not believe such stories. And when he received a mysterious letter requesting him to investigate a phenomenon called the Dark Night, he assumed it was nothing more than rural superstition. The letter carried no signature, only the words, "Come before the moon dies. You are our last hope." Driven by curiosity and the promise of a compelling story, he arrived at Blackridge on a cold afternoon, unaware that the sun he saw that day would be the last gentle light he would ever trust. The villagers looked at him with a mixture of fear and pity as he walked through the muddy street toward the old inn. No one greeted him, no one dared look him in the eye. The innkeeper, Mrs. Holloway, a woman with a permanently trembling jaw, took his bags but whispered something strange. "Leave before nightfall. You have no idea what follows the dark." Ethan laughed awkwardly, assuming it was just the village's obsession with their bedtime traditions. He went to his room, unpacked his camera and recorder, and stared out the window at the endless forest behind the village. The trees swayed without wind, moving as though something inside them breathed. When the sun began to sink, he noticed villagers rushing home, pulling wooden planks over their windows and lighting candles made of some strange black wax. By 6 p.m., the streets emptied completely. An unnatural silence spread over Blackridge. Ethan felt an odd heaviness in his chest, like the air itself thickened with something unseen. At exactly 6:15 p.m., the inn felt like it shifted, as if every wall released a soft groan. Then the darkness outside gained density. Ethan stepped toward the window, but Mrs. Holloway slammed his door open and dragged him back. "Don't look when it arrives," she hissed. "The dark night sees you when you see it." Before he could ask more, she shut his curtains tightly and ran back downstairs. Ethan sat in confusion, listening to faint sounds outside, soft footsteps that didn't sound human, dragging across dirt. Then a low moan echoed through the village, like the sound of 1,000 voices whispering from beneath the earth. His skin crawled. Something brushed against the wooden wall outside his room. His doorknob twitched. Just a tiny movement, but enough to freeze his blood. Mrs. Holloway yelled from downstairs, "Ignore it. It only enters if you acknowledge it." He spent the entire night sitting on his bed, holding his breath each time the whispers grew louder. At 3:33 a.m., they suddenly stopped, and the darkness outside faded into the pale gray of dawn. When morning arrived, Ethan rushed out to interview the villagers. Most refused to speak. Some walked away trembling. Finally, an old blind man named Rowan agreed to talk. According to him, Blackridge was cursed centuries ago, when a grieving mother summoned a shadow creature from beyond the mortal world to return her dead child. But instead of resurrecting him, she brought forth a being made entirely of darkness, a creature that devoured light and fed on fear. It roamed only at night, searching for souls to claim, and every time someone looked directly at it, it grew stronger. Rowan himself had lost his eyesight looking at it as a child. "It has many shapes," he whispered. "It becomes whatever you fear most." Instead of scaring Ethan away, the story intrigued him more. That evening, instead of staying indoors like the villagers, he prepared his camera, determined to record whatever haunted Blackridge. When night fell, the darkness came quickly, too quickly, swallowing the sky before the sun had fully set. Ethan kept his camera pointed through a small gap in the curtains. At first, there was nothing, just shadows. Then the shadows moved. Something crawled out of the tree-line, long, slender, and shifting as though made of smoke. Ethan raised the camera, forgetting Mrs. Holloway's warning. The creature turned its head, if it was a head, toward the window. Two pale voids stared directly into the lens. The camera flickered and died, sparks bursting from its battery. Ethan stumbled backward, shivering violently. A voice seeped into his mind, a whisper, without sound. "I see you." He couldn't breathe. His vision blurred. The shadows in his room deepened, creeping toward him like spilled ink. He rushed to the hallway, But the inseamed warped, doors stretching impossibly long, walls bending as if melting. Mrs. Holloway grabbed his arm, dragging him to a hidden basement trapdoor. "You fool," she cried. "Once it notices you, it doesn't stop." They hid underground while the creature roamed the inn, scratching at the floorboards above them, sniffing the air. Ethan's heart thudded, so loudly he feared the creature would hear it. Hours passed in suffocating silence. At dawn, the creature vanished with a shriek that rattled the walls. Mrs. Holloway glared at him with tear-filled eyes. "You won't survive another night," she said. "You brought its gaze into this place." But Ethan wasn't ready to flee. He believed exposing the curse could save the village. He spent the day interviewing Rowan again, who revealed something new. The creature, Rowan said shakily, is not bound to darkness. It is darkness. It follows those who observe it. And once chosen, the mark never fades. Ethan felt cold, not from the air, but from the truth that ran up his spine. He asked Rowan if there was any way to break the creature's curse. The old man hesitated. "There is a ritual," he admitted, "but it requires a sacrifice. The one who brought its gaze upon themselves must offer the thing they value most." As night approached, Ethan didn't go to the inn. Instead, he walked into the forest, determined to confront the creature and record everything. The villagers watched him leave with despair on their faces. The forest swallowed him quickly, trees towering overhead like prison bars. Even before full darkness, he felt the creature watching. The shadows shifted unnaturally, forming shapes, first the silhouette of a child, then a tall man, then a deformed animal. Fear tightened around his throat. Suddenly, the creature stepped forward, materializing out of the darkness like ink forming a body. Its voice echoed inside his skull. "You should not have looked." Ethan tried to run, but the darkness moved with him, bending the ground beneath his feet. The creature appeared in front of him, behind him, beside him, everywhere at once. He stumbled into an abandoned cabin. Inside, the walls were covered in desperate carvings. "Don't look. Don't breathe. Don't think of it." At the center of the floor lay the skeleton of a woman clutching a child's toy. The original summoner, Ethan realized. The creature appeared again, flowing through cracks in the walls. Ethan screamed and lifted his camera, even though it no longer worked. The creature spoke once more. "Your fear feeds me." He remembered Rowan's words. The creature took the shape of fear. So Ethan tried something impossible. He stood up and faced it directly. "You don't control me," he whispered. The creature froze, its form flickering. Ethan felt courage spark within him. He stepped forward again, refusing to back away. The darkness retreated slightly, confused. But courage is fragile. As soon as Ethan saw the creature's face twist into a grotesque version of his own, his courage broke. The creature pounced. It wrapped around him like freezing smoke, pulling him into the depths of the forest. Ethan's screams echoed through the trees, swallowed by the night. When dawn arrived, villagers found Ethan unconscious at the forest edge. But something was different. His eyes, once brown, were now completely black. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. For hours, he sat motionless. Rowan approached carefully. "Ethan, what happened?" The young man slowly turned his head, and in a voice that wasn't his, whispered, "It's hungry." Panic surged through the village. Ethan was no longer Ethan. The darkness had entered him. The creature had found a new host. That night, Blackridge didn't just experience the dark night. They witnessed its awakening. Ethan walked through the village streets with unnatural stillness, and the darkness followed him like a loyal pet. Doors locked, windows boarded. But it was too late. The creature had evolved. It no longer needed to be seen to find its prey. It had a human vessel now. One by one, villagers vanished into the darkness, their screams swallowed by invisible voids. Rowan tried to perform the ritual, but Ethan, no longer human, stopped him with a single touch that turned the old man's body into ash. Mrs. Holloway attempted to flee, but found herself trapped in a loop of darkness that extended the night infinitely. No dawn came. No light returned. The creature had devoured Blackridge entirely, leaving behind nothing but a silent, endless dark. And Ethan, its chosen host, walked endlessly through the void, whispering to anyone who might wander too close. It began with a look.